It all started with this wrinkled-up eviction notice slapped on my front door one afternoon, looking like it had been through a windstorm, delivered by some poor security guy who mumbled, "Sorry," before handing it over. He said I had 10 days to pack up and leave because my old kayak was sitting on blocks in the yard, and I handled a few work calls from my back porch, which apparently counted as running a business in our quiet little Willow Creek neighborhood. I read it once, twice, shaking my head because my cottage here, it's been standing since before the whole subdivision popped up around it on its own separate deed. Like that stubborn uncle at family reunions who won't play by anyone's rules but his own. And right on cue, 3 minutes later, here comes Lisa, the queen bee of the community association, zipping up in her shiny blue golf cart, scarf fluttering like she's leading a parade, clipboard in hand, parking all crooked in my driveway, as if to block any escape. She didn't even say hi, just pointed at the paper I'd set under my coffee mug and barked, "Fail to comply, and we'll hit you with fines, a lien, maybe even force a sale through our lawyers. This is about keeping standards high. You understand?" I stood there on my porch, Buddy, my lazy retriever, snoring at my feet, feeling this mix of annoyance and that deep-down fire you get when someone tries to push you off your own land. Not just any push, but one fueled by that petty power trip some folks get when they sit on a board and start seeing neighbors as problems to fix. Lisa had this wobble in her step from those heels she wore like armor. And as she ranted about community harmony and how my eyesore kayak was dragging down property values, I could see it in her eyes. This wasn't about rules. It was personal. Maybe jealousy over my spot being grandfathered in, free from their dues and restrictions, or just her need to control everything in sight. Like the way she'd nitpick holiday lights or porch planters on everyone else's homes. I kept calm, asked her straight up, "Where's the board vote that says you even have jurisdiction over my place? Show me the minutes." She squinted like I'd slapped her, muttering something about executive sessions being confidential, as if secrets made them legal, before hopping back in her cart and warning, "Expect more action. We're not done." Inside at my kitchen table that doubles as a desk, cluttered with maps and coffee stains, I snapped photos of the notice, pulled up county records online, and confirmed what I already knew. My parcel predates their covenant by decades. Their fancy plat map stops dead at my boundary line. No easement, no nothing tying me in. That's when the anger shifted to something sharper, more focused. I wasn't about to start a yelling match. That's not my style. It's wasteful. But I do finish what others start, especially when it's about home. That one place where you should feel untouchable. I called up my buddy Alex, who's got this knack for digging into local codes like they're buried treasure. I read her the juiciest bits from the notice, and she chuckled once before saying, "Make a record, then build a plan. Don't raise your voice. Just outsmart them." So I did. I filmed the whole porch setup, kayak included, Buddy disqualifying himself as any kind of threat by rolling over for belly rubs. And when Lisa looped back later for round 2, I asked again, on camera, legal basis or motion. She repeated, "Executive authority," like a mantra, and I thanked her politely, watching her drive off, knowing friction like that throws people off their game. Walking the neighborhood that evening helped clear my head. All those cookie-cutter houses with manicured lawns, mailboxes lined up like soldiers, neutral shrubs screaming conformity. One guy watering his grass even asked if I'd really parked a bulldozer in my garage, laughing until he glanced at the association clubhouse like it had ears. Back home, digging deeper into their covenants felt like reading a bad thriller, rules banning everything from visible boots to lights past January, but nowhere mentioning my lot because, surprise, it wasn't theirs to rule. Their budget on the website, a draft PDF treated like gospel, showed dues barely covering basics, but legal fees had spiked triple last year. And there was this credit line at Legacy Trust Bank, interest resetting soon, fragile if folks started balking at fines. That's when the idea hit, quiet at first, then building. The bank was offloading loans, delinquencies rising, and if I could snag their credit facility, maybe bundle in some local mortgages, I'd have leverage, real power, not just words. Morning came. I shaved, threw on a button-up to look respectable, grabbed breakfast at the diner where waitresses refill coffee without asking, and overheard two suits chatting about loan reserves. Asked them casually if they knew Legacy's asset sales team, said I had a friendly interest, and bam, got a name and email. Sent a boring intro as a local investor looking to stabilize neighborhood credit, attached proof of funds, and an hour later, a spreadsheet lands in my inbox. HOA's revolving line, a cluster of mortgages nearby, including one matching Lisa's address like a bullseye. Didn't grin. Just confirmed terms. Mailed a certified demand to rescind the notice. Texted Alex, hypothetically, about buying a lever and what fulcrum-sized codes preferred. She shot back a statute, brilliant. Pulled into my drive, Lisa's there, filming my porch like a crime scene. I raised my mug, Buddy wagged, she pointed her phone like a weapon, but inside I jotted one line, acquire the leverage that writes the ending. Deal closed. Quick-wired funds. Owned the pool by Friday. Karen, wait, Lisa's mortgage and the association's debt included. Could have waited, but nah. Drafted a bland letter on my letterhead informing the board their lender, me, expected compliance and a fiscal review. Mailed it certified. Slept sound, knowing Monday would sting. Sure enough, Lisa shows up in a full suit, armor on, towing the president, who shook hands like a wet rag. They asked if I'd gotten a notice in good faith, and I leaned in. Irrelevant now, since any hostile move against me could trigger repayment clauses in your credit deal. Risk management, you know. Lisa's eyes did the math, voice cracking as she rallied about standards, but the ground had shifted. The president fidgeted, mind on votes and assessments. Later at the meeting, Alex insisted on joining, recorder out like a challenge. Lisa accused me of interference. I countered, lenders monitor risks, especially if actions threaten payback. I could call the loan or refinance with reforms, votes on big fines, competitive bids, outside opinions on jurisdiction. A murmur rippled through the room, eyes on Lisa like a bad bet. She banged her gavel, but it was done. The shift was palpable. She tried a special assessment next, hitting everyone for legal expenses close to their next interest payment, punishing the whole neighborhood to pressure me. But as creditor, I froze advances, noted bad faith in their file. Whispers turned to chats at mailboxes. Neighbors asking if I own the association. Nah, just its leash, and I keep it short. Audited their books. Found landscaping gigs to Lisa's cousin at inflated prices. Legal spikes after lost votes smelled like entitlement. Not crime, but enough for forbearance conditioned on those reforms. Lisa called an emergency to ban loose watercraft and recordings, but Alex and I sat front row, recorder gleaming. She tried acclamation. I asked for a standing vote over my parcel. Silence hung heavy. Treasurer emailed that night, exhausted, wanting reforms. Vendors walking, I replied, paid soon as bylaws record. Then the bank twist. They offered me in on a capital raise, board seats implied. Wired funds. Snagged servicing rights. Now I decided calls, payments, wobbles. First call, landscaper, asking crew or lawyer, vote like your check depends on it. Lisa pivoted to panic, letter to doorsteps accusing hostile takeover, photo of me shaking hands at the bank through a window. I notified compliance about harassing lenders. Memo followed. Opened her mortgage file, balloon due soon, rates high. Sent refinance invite, reminder polite but pointed. She filed a TRO alleging abuse. Judge looked bored with association drama, denied it flat on the steps. Alex nudged me, reporter in back. Headline next day, local investor halts neighborhood tyranny. Discovery in her lawsuit, gold. Emails admitting my place wasn't covered but evict to send a message. Targeting owners, using credit for pet projects. Bought her mortgage outright. Flagged for review. Neighbors buzzed. One asked her point blank, "He owns your loan." She stormed my driveway, flushed. "This is harassment." I sipped coffee. "No. Ownership. Read your agreement." Deposition day, glass conference room. She arrived late, blazer sharp, but eyes evasive. My attorney grilled on emails, authorizations, fiduciary slips. She crossed arms, admitted acting in best interest. Her lawyer stipulating quietly. Walked out stiff but broken. Offered settlement, resign, drop claims, refinance under my strict schedule, or I call the loan, foreclose, sue for breach. She called it extortion, stalled. Treasurer called, "She's torching everything. Back the reforms if she's gone." At the meeting, she read resignation citing personal reasons, left without fanfare. Board adopted bids, caps, limits fast. Lawsuit wrapped, records public, neighborhood exhaled. Saw her at the store once. She dodged aisles, buddy sniffing treats, oblivious. Took 5 months from that notice to her signing away power, not destroying her, just stripping control over me. Monthly checks with my name. That's interest, but was it justice or overkill? Playing their game, but flipping the board. Tell me in comments, ever dealt with an HOA bully, or think I went too far? Share your stories. Hit like if you'd fight back. Subscribe for more real-life wins.